The sun dipped low over the land of Gilead, casting long shadows across the rugged hills. Jephthah, a warrior of great strength and reputation, stood at the edge of his camp, watching the darkening horizon. His heart was heavy, burdened by the weight of the battle ahead. The Ammonites had gathered for war, threatening Israel with destruction, and Jephthah, called to lead, had vowed to God that if he would give him victory, he would sacrifice the first thing that came out of his house to greet him upon his return. The camp was still, the only sound to whisper the wind through the dry grass. Jephthah's warrior stood in silent prayer, preparing for the coming fight. His fingers tightened around his sword hilt. The weight of the promise he had made like a stone lodged in his chest. Victory or sacrifice, those were the only options. Jephthah lifted his eyes to the heavens, and with a final prayer for deliverance, he led his men into battle. The battle raged for hours. Blood, dust, and sweat mingled in the heat of the day. But Jephthah fought with the strength of 1,000 men, guided by the hand of God. And as the final blow was struck, the Ammonite forces scattered, their leaders fleeing in defeat. With the clash of sword and the cries of victory echoing in his ears, Jephthah's heart was full of triumph, but also dread. He had made a vow to God, and now there would be no turning back. As Jephthah and his men returned to his home in Mizpah, his heart beat faster. The gates of his house opened, and out came his only daughter, dancing with joy, singing praises for her father's victory. Her laughter rang through the air like the sweetest melody, but it was a sound that shattered Jephthah's soul. The young woman, full of life and innocence, ran toward him, her arms outstretched, her face radiant with love. But Jephthah's heart sank as he remembered the vow he had made to God. The weight of it crushed him, and he fell to his knees before her, his voice choked with sorrow. "Oh, my daughter," he cried, his voice trembling, "you have brought me so much joy, and now you are the one who must bear the weight of my vow." The girl's eyes widened with confusion, then understanding. She stepped forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Father, if you have made a vow to the Lord, then do as you have promised," she said, her voice steady despite the sorrow in her heart. "Only give me 2 months to mourn, for I will never marry, nor bear children." Jephthah nodded, tears streaming down his face, as his daughter prepared to leave for mountains, accompanied by her friends, to mourn the life she would never live. For 2 months she grieved, her sorrow echoing through the hills of Gilead. She would never know the joys of marriage or motherhood. Her life, once filled with promise, had been claimed by a vow made in the heat of war, by a father's desperation for victory. When the time came, Jephthah fulfilled his vow. He took his daughter to the altar, and with a broken heart, he offered her to God, just as he had promised. The land fell silent in the wake of his sacrifice, the sorrow of the act hanging over him like a cloud. Jephthah returned to his people, a king without joy, his victory tainted by the loss of his beloved daughter. His story will be remembered not just as a tale of military triumph, but as a tragic reminder of the cost of making rash vows without considering the consequences. Moral of the story: Jephthah's vow teaches us the importance of thoughtful promises. While faith and trust in God are powerful, we must be cautious not to make rash vows in the heat of emotion. God values our hearts, and He desires mercy over sacrifice. Jephthah's story is a reminder of the price of impulsive decisions and the pain of unfulfilled promises.